Season 3 begin, and we see that Gi-hoon's team was about to surrender, but the pink soldiers shot them all. However, No-L, soldier number 11, shot player number 246 in the stomach and injured him only. She then told him to close his eyes and pretend to be dead. Afterward, she drew a plus sign on his coffin. Gi-hoon was then placed in the coffin and taken to the player's room, where Hyun-Joo discovered that he was still alive. On the boat, the mercenaries search for the missing drone operator. Captain Park spins a story of him getting drunk and falling overboard. Loan shark Woo-seok seems to buy it. When Gi-hoon regained consciousness, he was furious over the loss of his friend. Overcome with grief and rage, he began shouting, "Why was I left alive? Why didn't you kill me too?" The pink soldiers restrained him and left him at his place. The frontman, who was watching from inside, observed everything. It was then revealed that the ship's captain was working under the frontman's orders. His job was to mislead Jun-ho and keep him away from the island, a task he had been successfully carrying out until now. Voting then began to decide whether to proceed with the next game. Everyone, except Gi-hoon, cast their votes. This time, more players sided with the O-team because they had seen O-team attack the X-team in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, No-Eul spared player 246 and joined the gang that had rescued the girl. She manipulated a soldier and made her way to the surgery room, a secret area without cameras. There, she shot all the soldiers present, sparing only the doctor. She pointed a gun at him and forced him to operate on Mr. Park, demanding that he save him. Later that night, food was distributed to the players. Dae-ho ignored Gi-hoon, but Grandma and Hyun-Joo came to speak with him. Grandma reassured him, saying, "You wanted the best for all of us, but the soldiers were too many." Hyun-Joo admitted, "It's my fault. I should have taken the magazines." Grandma's son, Young-shik, added, "It wasn't your fault either. Dae-ho came before you, but didn't take the magazines." Gi-hoon grew furious at Dae-ho, who was eating calmly, seemingly unaffected. Seeing this, Grandma left her food for Gi-hoon. Woo-seok approached Jun-ho, saying he suspected the ship's captain. He had heard a noise the previous night, stepped out, and saw the captain holding a screwdriver. Jun-ho dismissed the suspicion, saying, "The captain saved me. He's been helping me find the island ever since. He couldn't be behind the drone operator's disappearance." Back in the player's room, the next game was announced. Gi-hoon, still glaring at Dae-ho with anger, joined the others as they were taken to the game arena. On the way, they passed the corpses of those who had rebelled the day before. One of the bodies was Jong-baek's. Seeing this, Gi-hoon's anger grew even more, while Dae-ho grew increasingly scared. Jun-ho was about to take the new drone operator and head out with his team to find the island, but Woo-seok called to say he wouldn't be going today. Instead, he planned to investigate the ship's captain. The doctor had removed the bullet from Mr. Park's body, but he had lost a lot of blood. No-Eul then donated her own blood to save him. The rules of the new game were then announced. Each player was given a choice between a red or blue ball. After separating into red and blue teams, the game was revealed: hide and seek. In this game, the red team had to find and kill all the members of the blue team within 30 minutes. Anyone from the blue team who survived for 30 minutes would advance. Meanwhile, any red team member who failed to kill at least one blue team member would be eliminated. Each red team member was given a knife. The blue team members were each given a locket containing a key, which could open unlimited doors to hide. However, once a door was opened, it could not be closed again. Players were given a final chance to switch teams. Gi-hoon ended up on the red team, Dae-ho on the blue team. Grandma was on the red team, her son Young-shik on the blue. Jun-hee was in red, while Lee was in blue. Other characters like Nam-kyu and Min-soo joined the red team, while Hyun-Joo, the shaman, and the old man joined the blue. Lee tried to manipulate Jun-hee, saying, "You won't be able to kill anyone. Give me your knife, and I'll protect you." Meanwhile, Young-shik switched places with his mother. The blue team was then given 2 minutes to hide. Everyone scattered in different directions. After 2 minutes, the red team began hunting them down. Nam-kyu and Lee decided to team up to increase their chances of killing someone. Gi-hoon's only target was Dae-ho. Meanwhile, after Mr. Park regained consciousness, No-Eul killed the doctor and disguised Mr. Park in the doctor's uniform. Back in the game, the red team began hunting wildly. Anyone from the blue team who was spotted was killed immediately. The cunning old man pretended to be a teammate but used others as bait. Hyun-Joo, on the other hand, was genuinely helping Grandma and Jun-hee. Each of them, Hyun-Joo, Grandma, and Jun-hee, had one of the 3 key types: triangle, square, and circle. Together, They could open any locked door. Dae-ho was constantly running, trying to avoid Gi-hoon. Nam-gyu and Lee caught a blue team member and killed him together, but to stay in the game, they had to kill at least one more, so they went out to hunt again. While running, Min-seo found Nam-gyu's drug-laced locket. Elsewhere, Jun-hee tripped and fell down the stairs, swelling her leg and triggering severe stomach pain. A red team player tried to attack her, but Hyun-Joo killed him just in time. Jun-hee was now unable to walk due to pain, so Hyun-Joo carried her to a room to rest. Meanwhile, Lee and Nam-kyu were slaughtering several players. Nam-kyu said, "The more blue team members we kill, the fewer targets remain for the red team. If red team players have no one left to kill, they'll be eliminated, meaning more prize money for us." Greedy now, Lee killed Nam-kyu to steal his plan and began attacking anyone in sight. Elsewhere, Yong-shik was unable to kill anyone. He froze up in fear each time. Finally, Gi-hoon and Dae-ho crossed paths and began fighting fiercely. Dae-ho managed to push Gi-hoon away and escape. Back with Jun-hee, she was going into labor. Grandma helped deliver the baby while Hyun-joo stood guard near the door. Just then, the shaman found a secret door with 3 locks, each corresponding to one of the key types. Realizing this door could be the way to win the game, she set out to find the other 2 keys. To hide from red team members, the old man smeared himself with a dead man's blood and lay next to the corpse, pretending to be dead. When the red team passed by, they believed he was already dead. The shaman found him and took him along. He had the remaining 2 keys. Grandma successfully delivered the baby, but a red team player suddenly attacked. Hyun-joo fought him off and lured him into another room, where she killed him. Coincidentally, it was the same 3-lock door. Now in possession of all 3 keys, thanks to Grandma and Jun-hee, Hyun-joo opened the door and discovered it led to victory. She immediately ran back to inform the others, but just as she reached the door, Lee stabbed her from behind. Hyun-joo collapsed and died in front of Grandma and Jun-hee. Seeing Lee, who had killed Hyun-joo, Jun-hee was deeply shocked. Nam-gyu was a little farther away and hadn't come to the scene. Without saying anything to Jun-hee, Lee walked away with Nam-gyu. Both were deeply saddened by Hyun-joo's death. However, before Hyun-joo was stabbed, she had informed them about the secret room. So, in their grief, they took the baby and headed toward that room. The old man and the shaman had already reached the door. They opened it, and the old man used one of the keys to cross through. Once inside, he locked the door from the other side. Just then, Min-soo appeared and killed the shaman. Back in the game arena, Gi-hoon finally caught Dae-ho. Dae-ho began apologizing, but then admitted that everything he had said was a lie. He was never a Marine officer. In truth, he was a coward who used Gi-hoon's confidence to secure a spot on his team so he could survive. He had been too scared to grab the magazine earlier. Gi-hoon hesitated, unwilling to kill him. But Dae-ho suddenly attacked, and they began fighting again. Grandma and Jun-hee reached the secret room. Suddenly, Grandma's son, Yong-shik, arrived. He still hadn't killed anyone, and with only 2 minutes left, he panicked. He told his mother to step aside. He intended to kill Jun-hee, but Grandma stopped him and said, "Kill me instead. My time has passed. I'm just a burden in this game." Jun-hee still has a life ahead of her, with her child. Yong-shik, blinded by desperation, pushed his mother aside and moved to kill Jun-hee. But in a last act of courage, Grandma stabbed her own son in the back to protect Jun-hee. Gi-hoon, consumed with rage, killed Dae-ho. Yet, instead of feeling victorious, he was overwhelmed by grief and guilt over losing his friend. He attempted to take his own life using the same knife, but the pink soldiers stopped him just in time. Time was up. Every red team member who hadn't killed anyone was eliminated by the pink soldiers. Then it was revealed that 4 of those pink soldiers were actually VIPs. For the first time, they had joined the game not to watch, but to kill people themselves and enjoy the bloodshed. All the remaining players were brought back to the players' room. Nam-gyu was growing frantic, unable to find his drug-laced locket. When he couldn't take the drug on time, he lost control and went berserk. The soldiers killed him as well. Min-soo watched this happen with satisfaction. Everyone was shocked to see Jun-hee's newborn child, though Lee showed no concern and didn't approach them. Gi-hoon was handcuffed again to prevent another suicide attempt. No-yul disguised Mr. Park, player number 246, in a soldier number 16 uniform. He hid him and smuggled him out of sight. Back in the players' room, the new results were announced. Only 25 players remained, and each would now receive $16.5 million. The frontman was busy entertaining the VIPs, who were all foreigners. However, no news had come from the surgery room, so the chief ordered some soldiers to investigate. He also contacted Jun-ho and told him he'd discovered something about the ship's captain, but no one knew where the captain was now, nor the companion from the other team's ship. The chief instructed Jun-ho to keep an eye on the captain and remain alert. He also mentioned that he was going to check the captain's residence personally. Once again, a vote was held in the players' room for the next game. This time, more people voted in favor of continuing. Some were driven by fear, others by greed. When the soldiers reached the surgery room, they found the bodies of their fellow soldiers. 4 were dead. Because the pink soldiers were never allowed to see each other's faces, they scanned 3 of the bodies to confirm their identities. They were real soldiers. However, the 4th body, which wore player 246's uniform, was not scanned. This raised suspicion, especially when soldier number 16 was reported missing. The soldier informed the chief, who checked the security footage and saw No Eul and soldier 16 together. Meanwhile, Hyun-Joo launched a drone toward an island. Recognizing the terrain, he instructed the captain to take him there. The captain warned that the place was rocky and dangerous, but Hyun-Joo insisted he would go alone to scout it first. Back at base, the chief ordered No Eul and soldier 16 to report to his cabin. But No Eul was already standing behind him with a gun. The chief asked what she wanted. No Eul replied, "I want an assignment off the island in the next shift." No Eul demanded that soldier number 16 leave with her, and that a boat be ready outside by morning. The chief scoffed, saying there was no point in doing all this. He asked, "What's your relationship with soldier 16? And didn't you kill those soldiers?" No Eul admitted it and coldly replied, "You don't need to know anything else. The VIPs have arrived, and you don't want the front man or anyone else to find out the truth, so just do as I said." Meanwhile, Hyun-Joo reached the island. As he looked around, memories came flooding back. This was the same place he'd escaped to after fleeing the Squid Game Island. It was here that his brother had shot him. That meant the Squid Game Island had to be nearby, which he reported to his team. Back at the arena, Grandma approached Gi-hoon and gently told him to stop blaming himself. "It wasn't your fault," she said. Then, with tears in her eyes, she shared how she was forced to kill her own son under brutal circumstances. She was still heartbroken over it, but begged Gi-hoon to save Hyun-Joo and her baby because they had no one else. Woo-seok reached the captain's home. As he entered, a vicious chained dog lunged at him. In a panic, he broke a window and climbed in. Meanwhile, the chief was still puzzled about the connection between No Eul and soldier 16. He sent soldiers to recheck the surgery room. Soon after, a coffin was brought to the player's room, and it was revealed that Grandma had sacrificed her life. This devastated both Hyun-Joo and Gi-hoon. Back in the surgery room, soldiers scanned the corpse wearing player 246's uniform. It turned out to be soldier number 16. The chief was informed and realized that the person posing as soldier 16 was actually player 246. He immediately ordered his men to track No Eul. At the captain's house, Woo-seok made a shocking discovery: photographs showing the captain with the recruiter. This confirmed that the captain was involved with the Squid Game organization. Suddenly, the dog attacked. Woo-seok managed to shoot it and escape. Near the front yard, beneath the doghouse, he found stacks of cash and a pink soldier's uniform. Just then, the police arrived. Back in the player's room, the next game was announced. Hyun-Joo's leg was badly swollen, making it hard for her to walk with the baby. Gi-hoon stepped in, holding the child. "Don't worry," he told her. "I won't let anything happen to you or the baby." They reached the arena, where 2 massive dolls stood before a narrow track. The next game was rotating rope jump. A large rope would swing between the dolls, and players had 20 minutes to cross the thin track by jumping over it. The middle part of the track was broken and suspended over a deadly drop. Anyone who touched the rope would fall to their death. Anyone left behind after 20 minutes would be eliminated, including the baby. The sight of the baby shocked everyone, freezing them with fear. Gi-hoon told Hyun-Joo to sit and rest while he checked her leg, and it was clear she wouldn't be able to jump. Gi-hoon promised to find a way to take both of them across. Meanwhile, Namgyo's withdrawal worsened. Min-soo taunted him by showing his drug-laced locket. Desperate, Namgyo lunged to snatch it. Min-soo threw the locket onto the track. Namgyo jumped after it, grabbed it, opened it, and then found it empty. In shock, he lost focus. The swinging rope struck him, and he fell to his death. Hyun-Joo, watching this, told Gi-hoon, "Just save my baby." She wrapped the child in her jacket and handed him over. Gi-hoon secured the baby to his chest, promising, "I'll take the baby across and come back for you." He carefully jumped onto the track and successfully reached the other side with the baby. After placing the baby on a bench, Gi-hoon prepared to return for Hyun-Joo. But other players had already stepped onto the track. One of them crossed, but then pushed the next person off. He stood on the track and warned the others, "If anyone comes close, I'll push them too." Gi-hoon asked, "Why are you doing this?" The man replied, "The fewer who survive, the more money we'll get. I'm just removing obstacles." As a result, many players grew tired and fell. Gi-hoon pulled the man back just as more players crossed, including the old man. One of them pushed the troublemaker off the track. Min-soo crossed with others as well. Time was ticking. Lee asked Hyun-Joo to walk with him, but when she showed him her swollen leg, he left her behind and crossed alone. Only 1 minute remained. Gi-hoon was about to return for Hyun-Joo when she stopped him and said, Just protect my baby. Then, without waiting, she jumped to her death. No-Yul and player 246 escaped the island on a boat. The chief instructed his men to track them. Unknown to them, the boat had a tracker installed. Back in the players' room, only 8 players remained. Including the baby, there were 9. The VIPs observed and discussed the baby. To make the game more interesting, they decided to add the baby as a player. He was assigned his mother's number, player 222. A VIP announced, "Now, each person will get 35 crore rupees." The frontman responded, "They won't be allowed to leave. A tempting new offer is coming." Then the pink soldiers entered and announced, "Only 9 players remain for the next game. Each one will now receive 31 crores. Hyun-Joo, hearing this, was furious. "Who is the 9th player?" A soldier calmly replied, "The baby." The announcement enraged everyone. "That's not fair," Hyun-Joo shouted. "This baby hasn't done anything. How can he claim our prize?" The other players, driven by greed, moved to kill the baby, but the soldier stopped them. "No one can kill anyone outside of the game. The final game will begin only after the vote." The players were told to prepare for a special dinner before voting. At the police station, Woo-seok was being interrogated. He explained everything about the captain and the Squid Game, but the police didn't believe him. They called the captain and said, "There's been a break-in at your house. A man named Woo-seok was caught stealing money in a pink suit." Realizing what had happened, the captain immediately knew Woo-seok had discovered the truth. After being arrested, Woo-seok called his lawyer and borrowed his phone. He then called Hyun-Joo and revealed the captain's truth. But by then, the captain had already drawn his gun and ordered his crew on the second boat to kill everyone. He began shooting the others himself. Hyun-Joo managed to shoot the captain before he could cause more harm. As the captain was dying, Hyun-Joo asked him about the island's location, but the captain died before he could answer. However, Hyun-Joo saved one of his companions and began searching the captain's cabin for clues. Back on the island, before voting, the remaining players were served a luxurious meal. They were then informed about a twist in the next game. Before the actual challenge, the players could choose 3 people to eliminate in advance. This delighted the old man and his gang, who had already decided on 2 names, Gi-hoon and the baby. They planned to choose their 3rd target after the vote. Once the meal ended, the voting began. Since the baby couldn't vote, only Gi-hoon and the cowardly Min-soo voted for X, no elimination, while the rest voted O. With that, their 3rd target was chosen, Min-soo. The game was scheduled for the following morning. Meanwhile, Hyun-Joo found a map in the captain's cabin. It had crosses marked over islands on one side, indicating they were empty. This clue helped Hyun-Joo conclude the Squid Game island was located on the opposite side, so he and his team headed in that direction. Elsewhere, No-Eul and Mr. Park, player 246, were sailing away from the island. Suddenly, the chief contacted them via walkie-talkie and revealed the truth. Mr. Park, who was wearing Soldier 16's uniform, was actually player 246. He even mentioned the hospital address where Mr. Park's daughter was admitted. The chief threatened that if Mr. Park didn't return, his daughter would die too. No-Eul then turned the boat back, but returned alone to the island through the ventilation system, letting Mr. Park escape. The tracker had moved. The chief ordered soldiers to follow the boat. In the players' room, everyone had agreed that Gi-hoon, the baby, and Min-soo would be eliminated in the next game. That night, as others slept, Gi-hoon stayed awake. A soldier came to him saying the frontman had called for him. Inside the frontman's room, Gi-hoon was handed a knife and given an offer. "You can kill the others tonight and save yourself and the baby, because tomorrow they're going to eliminate you both anyway." Then the frontman removed his mask, leaving Gi-hoon shocked. He told Gi-hoon that even if he killed him, the game wouldn't stop. Someone else would take his place. "This is your chance. Take it." Gi-hoon grabbed the knife but hesitated. The frontman smirked. "You trusted me too easily." Gi-hoon returned to the player's room and stood over the old man, ready to kill him, but couldn't do it. The frontman, watching from afar, recalled how he himself had been in the same position years ago. In the final round of his game, he had accepted the same offer and killed the others. Now he saw that Gi-hoon wasn't like him. He also learned that Hyun-Joo was still alive. He called the Coast Guard and told Hyun-Joo to leave the island immediately. But Hyun-Joo vowed to return and end this for good. The next morning, the players were brought to the arena. No-Eul had reached the chief's office, pointed a gun at him, and demanded he delete all data on player 246. The chief complied, but mentioned that a full backup existed in the frontman's data room, which only he and the frontman could access. No-Eul forced him to take her there. In the arena, players were brought onto 3 towers, each shaped differently. From the square tower, they were told the game's rules. To reach the next tower, 1 player must be eliminated. To go from the second to the 3rd tower, another player must be eliminated. And once again, 1 must fall at the final tower. 3 eliminations were necessary to finish the game. To eliminate someone, a player had to press a buzzer and ensure the target was removed within 15 minutes, or else everyone would be eliminated. Gi-hoon stood aside, knowing everyone wanted to eliminate him and the baby first. Meanwhile, in the elevator heading to the frontman's room, No-eul and the chief fought intensely. Eventually, they reached the room, where the chief stabbed No-eul. While watching the game, he began talking about his life in North Korea. No-eul, bleeding but silent, moved toward the elevator, where she had hidden a gun. The chief noticed and followed her with a knife. But as soon as the elevator doors opened, No-eul shot him dead. Back at the game, the players pressed the buzzer to eliminate Gi-hoon and the baby. But Gi-hoon wouldn't step forward. Some wanted to drop them both. Others argued about who'd be next. Lee suggested eliminating Min-soo first, pulled the central pole, and shoved him down. Now, the first tower's bridge appeared. No-eul entered the data center and deleted all records of Mr. Park from the system. She then searched for her own soldier data to erase her identity. After crossing to the second tower, the dilemma remained: how to separate Gi-hoon and the baby. Someone hit the buzzer and tried to take the baby by force. Gi-hoon warned him, "If you drop us both, what makes you think you'll survive the next round?" Convinced, the man backed off. At sea, Mr. Park's boat was under fire, but Hyun-Joo arrived with reinforcements and saved him. Meanwhile, in the arena, players tied jackets together to pull the baby from Gi-hoon. One man approached to fight, but Gi-hoon cut the rope, isolating him. Lee used the opportunity to shove that man off the tower and told Gi-hoon, "I'm on your side." Gi-hoon was skeptical, but Lee then revealed that this baby is his daughter and Hyun-Joo's. Everyone was shocked. They remembered seeing Lee and Hyun-Joo together. The VIPs were thrilled and began placing bets, some on Gi-hoon, some on the baby. As the second round ended, 3 players began beating up player 39, planning to throw him off. But Gi-hoon stopped them and proposed drawing lots instead. In the scuffle that followed, all 3 attackers died. Now only Gi-hoon, Lee, Baby, and player 39 were left. Player 39, knowing he was next, jumped voluntarily. In the final round, one of the 3 had to die. Lee crossed the final bridge. Gi-hoon followed with the baby, but Lee blocked the bridge and told Gi-hoon to place the baby on a pole and stay behind. Lee was willing to kill his own daughter for money. Gi-hoon was furious. They had 5 minutes before they'd both be eliminated. Hyun-Joo reached the island. In the security room, the front man saw this and ordered an evacuation. A time bomb was activated with a 30-minute timer. The VIPs fled. No-eul set fire to the entire data room. Time was running out. Gi-hoon placed the baby on the bridge's midpoint. As Lee reached for her, Gi-hoon lunged across with a knife. A brutal fight began. Both men ended up dangling from the edge. Gi-hoon grabbed a support beam, while Lee clung to his jacket. The jacket ripped, and Lee fell to his death. Gi-hoon climbed up, but neither had pressed the buzzer, so Lee's elimination wasn't valid. That meant either Gi-hoon or the baby still had to die. Hyun-Joo arrived on the island just as the Coast Guard neared. Gi-hoon pressed the buzzer, stared straight at the VIPs and frontman, and said, "We are not your racehorses." He kissed the baby one last time and sacrificed himself. The baby became the winner. The VIPs were shocked. The frontman activated the time bomb, and his team evacuated. Hyun-Joo and No-eul escaped just in time. The island was destroyed. Now 6 months later, Mr. Park, player 246, returned to work. He sat sketching a portrait of No-eul, still unaware she had saved him. Yet when No-eul arrived, something felt familiar. "I used to work here," she said with a faint smile. That's when her daughter arrives. Her condition had improved quite a bit, and she was slowly recovering. Now No-eul begins calling her Naeun because she already knew this girl. She used to give candies to her back then. Then No-eul receives a call from the broker she had paid to bring her daughter from North Korea. The broker informs her that the girl is currently in China. Hyun-Joo goes to jail to release Woo-soo, who had been sentenced to 6 months for theft. Afterward, Hyun-Joo returns home and is shocked to find that the baby who won the game had been left at his doorstep. Along with the baby was a Squid Game envelope, which contained an ATM card and a badge with the number 222, the same number that had belonged to the baby's mother. Hyun-Joo checks the ATM card and finds it holds a total of 45.6 billion, one all registered under the baby's name. At the same time, the broker successfully locates Se-byuk's mother from North Korea and reunites her with Se-byuk's younger brother. No-eul travels to China to bring her daughter back. The hotel where Gi-hoon used to stay still held all his belongings and money in a room. But one day, a mysterious man enters the room and takes everything. Then we see the front man travel to America, to the house of Gi-hoon's daughter. He tells her that her father, Gi-hoon, is no more. As a final token, he gives her a box. Upon opening it, she finds Gi-hoon's player 456 uniform and an ATM card. It turns out that the frontman had transferred all of Gi-hoon's hotel money to this card and left it for his daughter. As the frontman is leaving, he notices another recruiter playing Dadakshi in a nearby alley. The recruiter glances strangely at him but continues playing. From this, we see how deeply saddened Gi-hoon's daughter is and that the Squid Game is now expanding into America.